I'm Chris Krimitsos, and I am the one.
Welcome to I Am the One, Entrepreneur Edition, a show that explores the journey of business owners who decided to be the one to make life better for the people they serve. I'm your host, Sonia Thompson, and today's guest is Chris Krimitsos. Chris is the founder of Tampa Bay Business Owners, a business growth community for entrepreneurs. The community provides networking, education, and leadership opportunities for their members. In addition, Chris also runs a podcast, Story Jam Theater, a unique show that allows guests to share their stories of experiences that have deeply touched them. We can learn a ton from Chris's resourcefulness in building multiple businesses with strong and supportive communities that keep them going. So I really think you're going to love what Chris has to say. But before we get into the interview, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Try Business School. Get the information you need to build the business of your dreams, step by step. Visit trybizschool.com, that's trybizschool.com, and get started with your free e-course, the 4 people you need to build a successful business. Now, let's get down to business. Here's Chris. Hey, Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Sonia.
All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. Tell me a little bit about Tampa Bay Business Owners, TBBO.
Tampa Bay Business Owners is an association we started 7 years ago, almost to the day. And it was an association to bring business owners together because I had gone to quite a few functions and I couldn't find something that really lined up business owners together. Mm-hmm. And it's a community based around education, collaboration, and leadership development, but really it's more than that. It's a facilitated community, which is our differentiator. We make sure to put people with positive mental attitudes, integrity, and ability for growth personally and professionally in the room, and that's kind of what I do full-time.
That's awesome. So a lot of times people do find challenges, they find voids that don't meet their needs, but they just kind of say, oh, I wish someone would take care of this. I wish someone would create something to solve this problem. What made you decide that you were going to be the one to solve this problem that you saw in the community?
Well, that's a great question. I was producing some local television shows here in Tampa on public access, so I was having a lot of fun. And I did see a need for business owners, but I wasn't sure I wanted to spend the money and time doing it because it's membership driven and that takes a long time. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I got a group of friends of mine who ran different meetings, real estate meetings, investment meetings, all kinds of different meetings around town. Mm-hmm. And I invited them to a focus group. And we actually had focus groups, and the focus groups were what would motivate business owners to attend this kind of meeting and what would be our differentiator. So we actually brainstormed that up front. And there was actually some really, I invited people that knew that would debate the issue, not just tell me, oh, it sounds great, let's do it. And we had some people that were really like, this idea will not work if you don't do blah, 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 blah. And that feedback was crucial into the creation of Tampa Bay Business Owners. And also, we always listen to our members because our members have changed since we started. And we've always listened to the feedback they gave us. So it's a lot of hard work to run an association. So luckily for us, we did focus groups prior to with people that were already running meetings.
Right.
And each focus group, we'd say, okay, let's go out there in the community and see if there's anything like this. I literally said to them, if we find something that is exactly what we're talking about, I'd rather join it than start it. And I really did mean that. Mm-hmm. But we, luckily for me, we weren't able to find it, and that created my next step.
Sweet. No, that's a great, it's a great story in terms of how you arrived there and was very methodical in your approach as well. Now, you mentioned that it is really a close community, and I've experienced a bit of just how tight the community is when I attended your Florida Podfest recently. What is it that you do that makes the community so supportive of each other and that they're just such a group that enjoys spending time with each other, supporting each other, learning from each other? Because that's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. The first thing is we look for business owners. So that, believe it or not, not the easiest thing to find different business owners in different niches, because most groups, if you're like a mortgage person, you have your mortgage association. If you own a shop, you have the local merchant shopkeepers association. So to bring business owners from all different areas under one house is really difficult. So we first look for people that are positive, which I know sounds like a really but we really we listen to their language, we interview them, so they can't just join online. They have to be screened by one of us, a team member. We have 6 people on the team. The second thing we do is we do a quick start program, and we set the expectations. And then, and I guess the thing we did in the beginning is when we really needed to make payroll, we did not take on people that we felt were toxic. And I think that showed our commitment to the culture over money. People kind of know what the community is about, and that's what, when you went to the event, that's what you felt, because they help connect each other when I'm not around. Right. And that's the power of a culture. It takes hold past an individual, and it spreads on its own. But we do actively facilitate the culture.
Absolutely. Now, in addition to TBBO, which is going well, people are excited, it's running. You also recently started a podcast, Story Jam Theater, which is very cool concept. What made you try to expand the things that you do into this new medium?
Well, with Tampa Bay Business Owners, we have the e-marketing groups, which is where we feature internet marketing, and that's where I got the podcasting bug. But I was looking for a medium to expand my message, and podcasting was definitely the platform. And I was waiting for years, because I used to do local television. So I was waiting for, like, what is the right platform? Is it YouTube? But YouTube wasn't. And when I heard podcasting and audio, because audio is much easier to maneuver than video, I figured, okay, we got something. And then Story Jam Theater are the stories of our members. And they're amazing stories of how they overcame amazing things. And I said, you know what? We could create this amazing podcast from the soul of Tampa Bay Business Owners and bring it to the world. And that's basically what we did. I waited over a year and a half. Like, I knew I wanted to start a podcast over a year and a half ago to figure out what I wanted and understand the landscape. But my wife also launched her podcast, Biz Women Rock. So I was actually her number 2 in the beginning, and her support to get that one off and running.
No, very cool. And the Story Jam Theater, it's a fascinating podcast, and listening to the stories of some of the people, it's just brilliant. It seems like they've been telling stories and being in front of crowds for years. It's very well polished, and it's lovely. Now, what were your life circumstances like before starting TBBO? A lot of times whenever people think about starting a business, they want everything to line up perfectly, but that doesn't always happen. So what were your circumstances in particular?
Well, I was always 13. I was always selling stuff business-wise. So I was always, like, at 13, I used to put ads in the paper and sell stuff out of the house, and my parents thought I was nuts. But literally, people from New York City would drive out or take the train. I'd pick them up. I was out in the suburbs, and I'd sell different kinds of things. And then I got involved in a lot of different businesses. So I learned really, when I was not in business, I had a job because I'd save up enough money in a year or two and then go back and start a business. So I had a lot of experience, and most of my business experiences are pretty ugly. Sometimes that's disastrous, but the cool thing is if you're willing to learn from it, you learn how important bookkeeping, financial management, budgeting, creating goals is to a business. But luckily for me, I had the passion to just get it done, and I was willing to keep going until I figured it out. Just wish I had I wish I had a TBBO, a Tampa Bay Business Owners Network to plug into the early years. But passion makes up for that. If you just keep on going, you'll figure it out. If you're willing to learn, obviously.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned that sometimes things can be a little bit disastrous. Can you share a failure that you've had over the course of your career as an entrepreneur and what you learned from it?
Well, I'm just trying to think because I have a lot of them. There was one that was, I got a good one. So at one point, I used to wholesale parrots when I was a kid. There's a lot of great breeders in Florida, and I would buy like an African gray parrot and wholesale to pet stores. And there's a word that I learned, and the word is consignment. Consignment is when you give someone a product or service, and when they sell it, that's when they pay you. Well, I never referenced to see if these people were worthy of doing that, and I would give $5 $5,000, $10,000 worth of consignment of Paris. They would sell them, but they never paid me.
Oh.
And if you're entrusting or knowing who you're doing some background check of who you're doing business with, because you could easily go out of business very quickly if your payables are not getting paid.
Right. Right. No, that's a good lesson. That's a good lesson because you want to be able to trust people, but sometimes you have to put those measures in place so that you can ensure that you can trust them. So what has been your proudest moment so far? As you go through, you learn, you do different things.
One of the cool, there's a lot of them, but one of the cool ones that I can remember is we brought in the author of Guerrilla Marketing, J. Conrad Levinson.
Mm-hmm.
He's since passed away, but we brought him in, and I invested $13,500 for 1 hour of his time.
Wow.
And it was a really great investment. The only thing I didn't factor in is I didn't leave any money for marketing, the fact that he was coming in. So I figured, hey, everybody know him and they'll just show up. Well, that was a wrong assumption. To Barnes & Noble with a little handheld camera, and I literally took all his books off the shelf because this guy sold over 26 million copies and loaded them up this high. And then I took all these other authors and loaded them up, and his books were much taller than theirs. And then I said, here's who we have come to speak for us, author Guerrilla Marketing. I just dropped the books. And I said, you got to be there. And I did this little promo. It cost us nothing, but literally it packed the house.
That's sweet. Now, it seems like you are very good at a lot of DIY, do-it-yourself type marketing tactics to make sure that you're able to spread the word and let people know about what you're doing. Is that a philosophy that you teach the business owner, or is that just part of your makeup to just go ahead and...
I was always good at marketing, and out of necessity, when you're strapped money-wise, you have to figure out how to do it for very little money to no money, thanks to the internet. But back then, I found ways to advertise for free in local papers. So yeah, one of the a real cool concept I could give people is if you don't have money, you can't. Most people use not having money as an excuse for not succeeding, when really they have. That means they're blaming their success on the lack of resources. Or really what they should be looking at is how resourceful they can be. Because it's all about being resourceful. If you're not resourceful, then don't blame the lack of resources, because we all have similar, everyone that's a self-made person, billionaire, millionaire, whatever, started with zero usually. That's why they're self-made. They started with themselves. So it's really, you want to be resourceful.
Right.
And one of the early days when I was promoting my birthday party, I used my birthday to launch events and concepts, because people will show up on my birthday, and if the event works, it's a plus. If it doesn't, they're still happy that they came to my birthday. So every year, I've launched different types of events on my birthday for fun. And this one birthday party, I created 100 individual YouTube videos that cost me nothing to invite 100 individual people. And this was in the beginning of Facebook, and we would post the video on everybody's Facebook wall. Well, we had over 250 people show up to my birthday party with about a week or two lead time with no money spent. I obviously invested in food to feed everybody, but I thought maybe 50 people would show up. Now, when I saw that was successful, I used that to launch an event, and I made about $15,000 a month later. And then I told a friend about it, and he made about $20,000, $30,000 because he had a real estate products and stuff. And with zero budget, we were able to literally bring in 110, 14 people into a room using that technique, when other people tell you, I can't get people in the room. Right. It's just they weren't resourceful enough.
No, that's a really good point, because I think people feel like they've got to have a lot of money to do things a lot of times, and that's not always true. You just have to have some creative ideas and be willing to put in the time so that you can do these things to pull it off. So that's a good lesson.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, what would you say are your 3 keys to success in entrepreneurship?
Well, 1 is being resourceful. 2 is staying positive. And 3 is being able to learn from others before I'd like to learn from others' mistakes before I make my own. At this point, I made a lot of mistakes. I have a wealth of knowledge. But I would just say that. And the biggest tip I could give anyone is the people that are extremely successful honor their word. A lot of people that say stuff and they never follow through, So now we live in a culture where people are used to being lied to, and they're okay with it.
Yeah.
So if you could make small commitments and honor them, then when you're doing a big thing and you need help, people will come to help you because you commit to honoring your word. And that's actually the key. Anyone that's really successful, they honor their word, and that's how you build relationships with a lot of different individuals. When I get excited, I tend to talk very quickly. Well, what happens is people think I'm a bullshit artist because of the fact that I'm talking quickly because I'm excited. All right? So I realize that sometimes. There was an event that we did 3 years ago. It's 5 years in a row we've been doing this event, but I had to move venues because the event got so big. And the event's called Christmas in July with a Taste of Tequila.
Okay.
And the gentleman said, "How many people are you expecting?" I go, "Well, I'm shooting for 500. He told me later, in his mind, he thought, I'd be lucky if this guy brings 50 people. So when we hit 500 people, he was like, "Holy crap, you weren't kidding." And I had told most of my people will have never have been to his venue before. And in his mind, he's like, most people know my venue. There's no way this guy has access to people that don't know where this venue is. And when we did the event, I asked people to raise their hand if this was their first time in the venue, and 85% of them raised their hand. He was floored. So when the event was done, he actually told myself and my wife, Katie, he said, when I first met Chris, I thought he was full of crap because I talk to promoters all the time, and in the field that I'm in, most promoters are full of crap. But he goes, I talk to promoters all the time, and when they say 500, I figure 50 people, and I figure I'd give them a shot just to see. But that won me a lot of brownie points when I hit. My word was honored when I showed to him that I can pull that many people, and that created a relationship.
No, relationships are important, and they're definitely based upon trust. So you have to be able to honor your word for that. No, Krista, this has been wonderful. You're doing lots of great things, super inspiring. What can we expect to see from you in the future?
Right now, I'm in the process of creating a studio in my office for podcasters so they could come in and podcast and interview. What I've noticed is some of us want more intimate interviews. So let's say you might want to meet someone in person. I would feel uncomfortable to have someone in my house.
Right.
And I would rather have a studio that podcasters in our area could use. So I'm working on creating what I call a Creative Commons area in my office for podcasters to use. And then Story Jam is going really strong. I'm not going to be actively promoting it just yet because I just don't have the time, but I am going to be actively recording storytellers. So that'll take me till the end of the year to really perfect. But you'll see Story Jam coming out really strong out of the gate next year. It's strong now. I mean, each episode is averaging about 1,000 downloads after a 6-week to 8-week run. So it's really good. Awesome. But I think it'll go internationally, and really I want that to impact people's lives the world over. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I've been doing this now for 7 years. I'm looking to create the podcasting studio to add some variety into my schedule because now I know what events I'll do every year. Like they're all planned out for next year already, if that makes sense.
Yep.
When I first started, I didn't know what event I was going to do because I didn't know what the community wanted.
Right.
So I created that throughout the years, but now we're at the point where the schedule is set. I could set a budget and do all that fun stuff. But my juices are usually when some things that start up and no one knows how to do it. That's where I work best.
Oh, wonderful. And where can people find you?
They could reach out to me at TBBO, that stands for Tampa Bay Business Owners.org, or Chris at TBBO.org. And if they Google my name or on Facebook, I'm very active on Facebook, Chris Krimitsos, or just Google it. Google will respell my name for you. But yeah, I always love when people contact me from a podcast and say, hey, is there any way I could be part of, like, I forgot to mention, but we do the Florida Podcast Association too, which is a separate association, but it's aligned with the other stuff we do. And that's, someone's in the state of Florida and they want to be part of our association, by all means, we welcome them with both arms open.
Awesome. This has been wonderful, Chris. Lots of great lessons that people can really sink their teeth into as they're working to build their business. Before I let you go, I do have one more bonus question for you. And it's a question I ask everybody. It's to deliver a line from a movie that you enjoy, a line that sort of sticks with you wherever you go.
A line from a movie I enjoy. That's a great question. I'm not really good at sticking with lines. I'll tell one of my favorite movies in the world is Something About Mary. And I just remember at the end, he couldn't pronounce Brett Favre, and he would just say Brett Favre, or the Franks and Beans comment. I'm more of a goofball outside of business, so that's where I spend most of my time is goofing off.
Goofing off is good. Goofing off is good. Oh, Chris, thank you again for joining me today. It's been great chatting with you.
Thanks, Sonia. It was great great being on your show.
Yeah. Chris had so many cool ideas to share that can really help you as you work to grow your business. But there was one thing in particular that he said that stood out to me. And that brings us to today's I Am the One challenge. It's great to invest the time in learning from others, but you've got to apply those lessons if you want to make them work for you. So based upon Chris's insights, here's today's challenge question for you. What's one area of your business where you could stand to be a bit more resourceful? Now, for that one area, think of one idea for how to move forward in accomplishing a goal without spending any money. Think about it and then head on over to IamTheOne.fm where you'll find this episode. There you'll see I've prepared a worksheet for you to help you address the challenge question for your business. Now, once you've got your answer, leave it in the comments on the show notes page or even tweet me at Sonia E. Thompson and let me know what you're going to do to be resourceful. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you leave a rating and review for it in iTunes. That'll help other entrepreneurs like you find the show so they can get inspiration, important lessons, and other insider info to help them build their dream business. Until next time, keep working on building your dream business so you can make life better. Somebody's waiting on you. Thanks for watching.